Elvis Presley closed the newspaper with trembling hands on the morning of January 10th, 1977. The small article, buried on page 12, told the story of 8-year-old Sarah Mitchell, whose family was desperately trying to raise money for her heart surgery. What Elvis did next would remain a secret for 30 years, until a series of events would finally reveal the true depth of the king's compassion. If this incredible story of hidden kindness is touching your heart, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us continue sharing these amazing true stories that show the best of human nature. In his private study at Graceland, Elvis had developed a morning ritual of reading local newspapers while drinking his coffee. Despite the isolation that fame brought, he still enjoyed reading about ordinary people's stories. This habit gave him a sense of connection to the real world beyond the gates of his mansion. That January morning, his eyes caught a small headline on page 12 of the Memphis Commercial Appeal. Local family seeks help for daughter's heart surgery. The headline seemed ordinary enough, but every word Elvis read struck him deeply. James Mitchell was a 34-year-old construction worker who lived in a modest home outside Memphis with his wife Linda. Their 8-year-old daughter Sarah needed emergency surgery for a rare heart condition. The cost of the operation was $47,000, an amount the Mitchell family could never imagine affording. The article detailed James's struggle in heartbreaking terms. The man was working 3 jobs: construction during the day, dishwashing at a local restaurant in the evenings, and painting neighbors' houses on weekends. Linda worked at a laundromat and took in sewing work at home. Despite all these efforts, they had only managed to save $3,000. The hospital administration had made it clear that the full amount needed to be paid before the surgery could be performed. Sarah's condition was critical. The surgery had to be done within 3 weeks. As Elvis read the article, memories of his own childhood poverty flooded back. His mother sewing for neighbors late into the night, his father searching for extra work. This family was fighting the same battle the Presley family had once fought, but without the fame and fortune that had eventually lifted Elvis out of that struggle. Elvis set the newspaper down on his desk and stared out the window for a long time. In Graceland's garden, the winter sun was shining on the grass. Everything looked peaceful, but his mind was fixed on that small house on the other side of Memphis, where a family was fighting for their daughter's life. "Joe," he called to his assistant, Joe Esposito. "Come here, I want to show you something." When Joe entered the room, Elvis handed him the newspaper article. "Read about this family. Read about this little girl." After Joe finished reading, he saw the determination in Elvis's eyes. He recognized that look. When Elvis decided to do something, nothing could stop him. "What are you planning to do?" Joe asked. "I'm going to pay for this surgery," Elvis replied quietly. "But no one will know. Not even the family." Elvis's request was simple. The help would be completely anonymous. The family would never learn the truth. This wasn't a PR stunt. It was pure compassion. Joe contacted Elvis's lawyers. The plan was straightforward. An anonymous benefactor would pay the surgery costs to the hospital on behalf of the family. The hospital administration would only know that the money came from a real person and was completely legal. But Elvis had one more condition. If the family tried to discover the donor's identity, the hospital would say the money came from many small donors. Elvis wanted no credit whatsoever. January 15th, 1977, 6:47 a.m. James Mitchell's phone rang. It was very early, but he was awake anyway. Sarah's surgery was scheduled for that morning, but they still lacked most of the money. "Mr. Mitchell, I'm calling from Memphis General Hospital. We have wonderful news for you." James answered the phone with his heart pounding. Linda woke up beside him. "Your daughter's surgery costs have been completely covered. An anonymous benefactor has paid the entire fee. Sarah's surgery can proceed as planned today." James nearly dropped the phone. How is this possible? Who did this?" "I'm sorry, sir. I can't tell you that. The person wishes to remain anonymous. All I can tell you is that the money is completely legitimate and has no conditions attached." That morning, Sarah Mitchell underwent her life-saving surgery at Memphis General Hospital. The operation lasted 6 hours and was completely successful. The doctors were amazed by the family's gratitude toward their anonymous benefactor. Elvis was at Graceland that day, but his mind was entirely focused on the operating room. He kept asking Joe to call the hospital for updates on Sarah's condition. When the surgery was successfully completed, Elvis could finally relax. "The little girl is going to be fine," he told Joe. "That's all that matters." Years passed. Sarah Mitchell recovered completely and lived a normal life. The family never learned the identity of their true benefactor. James Mitchell spent the rest of his life researching this person, but never found a single clue. When Elvis died in 1977, this secret was buried with him. Joe Esposito and other close friends knew the story, but respected Elvis's wishes by never telling anyone. Sarah Mitchell grew up, graduated from college, got married, and had children of her own. Whenever she told her family's story, she used the word miracle. She described their anonymous benefactor as their angel. In 2006, James Mitchell passed away at age 83. His son Robert was going through his father's belongings when he found a yellowed envelope hidden behind an old cabinet. On the envelope was written, "Sarah's Angel." Inside the envelope was the original receipt from the hospital, but the most surprising thing was a note written in pencil on the back of the receipt. E.P. With love from Graceland. Let no one know. J.E. Robert spent days trying to figure out what these initials meant. Finally, he began researching online. Could J.E. be Joe Esposito, Elvis's longtime assistant? Robert found and called Joe Esposito. Joe was in his 70s at the time and was considering writing a book about Elvis. "Mr. Esposito, I'm going to ask you a very strange question. In 1977, did Elvis pay for the surgery of a girl named Sarah Mitchell?" There was a long silence on the phone. Then Robert heard Joe's trembling voice. "How do you know this story?" Robert explained about the receipt his father had found. Joe took a deep breath. "I've been keeping this secret for 30 years. Elvis told me never to tell anyone. But we're both old now, and maybe it's time." Joe told Robert all the details of those days. The morning Elvis read the newspaper article, his decision to help, his insistence on remaining anonymous. "What you need to understand," Joe said, is that Elvis did things like this all the time. The media never knew about any of it. He just wanted to help, not to gain fame. When Robert hung up the phone, he was crying. They had finally found the answer to the question they'd been wondering about for 30 years. When Robert told his mother and sister Sarah the news, the family couldn't speak for a long time. Sarah was now 38 years old and had children of her own. "Elvis Presley saved my life," Sarah said through tears. "And we never knew." Linda Mitchell remembered how her husband had searched for years, even placing ads in local newspapers. "How happy James would have been if he had known," she said. Sarah Mitchell, now Sarah Parker, established a charity in Elvis's memory. She called it Elvis's Angel Fund, which covers medical expenses for children with heart disease. "Elvis didn't just give me life," Sarah says. "He gave me the responsibility to help others." Joe Esposito officially recorded this story before his death in 2016. "It shows Elvis's true character," he wrote. "He wasn't just an entertainer. He was a real person with a real heart." This story reveals the character behind Elvis Presley's public persona. Fame and fortune hadn't made him forget ordinary people's struggles. That anonymous help that saved Sarah Mitchell's life was one of Elvis's greatest performances. And no one had applauded. The truth emerging 30 years later tells us something important about Elvis's legacy. True greatness means doing what's right even when no one is watching. If this incredible story touched your heart, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a thumbs up. What do you think about Elvis's secret act of kindness? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that notification bell.